Phase 4 has been a bit of a disaster in my opinion. I remember being so hopeful about the multiverse theme, but with every release, I've wanted to just forget these movies and shows have existed, and I've loved the Thor movies in the past, and with Love and Thunder, it's the first Thor movie I really haven't been excited for, but now that it's out, it's not looking too great for Marvel because it is the fourth lowest rated MCU film by critics, and a lot of the user scores are rolling in, and they're generally positive, but there are still a lot of people who felt very underwhelmed by it, especially the Disney shills out there. I have a bunch of different things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So I wanted to primarily cover two things in this video. The first is going to be the user scores for this film, because while a lot of them are positive, there are also a lot of people who have disliked this movie, and this film isn't really getting that great of reviews when you compare it to other Marvel films. And I also wanted to cover reviewer articles that have gone out because the media actually dislikes this movie a lot. I thought that they were going to love it. They would be like, oh, it's such a great experience with lots of lighthearted jokes. I thought they would actually like the direction of this film, but they didn't, which has surprised a lot of people. So starting with this article, it says Thor Love and Thunder rated second lowest Thor film on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, the first two Thor films are pretty controversial, I'll say. In some cases, the critics loved them and users hated them, and vice versa. I've actually liked all of the Thor films. While yes, Dark World wasn't the best MCU film by any means, it also wasn't terrible in my opinion. It is a movie that I can go back and watch and enjoy. I didn't completely hate it. I'm not saying it's the best movie ever created though. But Ragnarok has to be my second favorite, because Ragnarok had a lot of great visuals, it had a lot of very good music, the story overall was pretty good, I really liked the characters they introduced in it, but I think Thor 1 for me is always going to be my favorite Thor movie. I thought that it was great seeing these performances for the first time, I thought the story was really well done, but Love and Thunder is still the second lowest rated Thor film on Rotten Tomatoes. It says, following the massive success of Spider-Man No Way Home last holiday season, Taika Waititi's Thor Love and Thunder was anticipated to be Marvel's next big hit, but it now appears that the film hasn't managed to follow through from the critical acclaim of Ragnarok, scoring just 71% on Rotten Tomatoes as of writing. I'm not the biggest fan of Taika Waititi. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think that he's an okay actor, but I do not think that he is a good director. I think that he should just stick with acting, stick with his comedy, and leave it at that. In context, the rating makes it the second lowest rated film in the Thor franchise, only above Thor: The Dark World, which sits at a 66%. And if we look at the critic reviews for this film, they are not good. Thor Love and Thunder review, disappointingly shallow Marvel encore for Taika Waititi. Thor Love and Thunder is a massive disappointment. I think the problem is what people expected out of this movie, because while yes, we expected some comedy, judging the trailers and judging by Ragnarok, because that was Taika Waititi, it was almost all comedy. There weren't really a lot of serious elements to it. And while yes, I do think that movies like this can have some comedy in them, when you repeat the same jokes over and over, like it's a classic Thor adventure, people get sick and tired of it after the first two times that they say it. People do want a serious undertone to these movies, and if you look at Ragnarok, I think that it was perfectly balanced, and that's why I enjoyed that film, because it had comedy, but it also had a very serious undertone. I did see the movie without supporting Disney, and I really wasn't that impressed by it. Was it the worst movie I've ever seen? No, it was definitely better than Eternals, but it also wasn't great. Going over to Rotten Tomatoes, though, Let's look at the all audience and top critic, because right now those are the two scores that are not looking good. Now, if you go to the verified audience, it's sitting at an 81%, which isn't too bad. An 81% is pretty positive. If I saw an 81% on a movie, I would be like, yeah, that's really not that bad. And if we go to all critics, that's not good either. It's a 67%, but the top critic is at a 51%, and as more reviews go on, this score has been dropping. Same with the all audience. It is currently sitting at a 74%, which again isn't the worst score ever, but it's also not great when we're talking about the MCU here. I usually try not to judge audience and critic scores too harshly until 2 or 3 weeks out, because opening weekend is usually the most dedicated Marvel fans, but even the all audience score isn't great. I get that eventually the MCU was bound to hit a point where movies weren't constantly outdoing each other and you'd have ones that did the same as others, but we're seeing these movies get lower and lower review scores. We're not seeing them maybe have a solid 85% time after time, and some hit 90, some hit 95. We're seeing 70s on average, and very rarely ones that actually hit near perfect scores now. I think that the largest Marvel disaster in recent memory is Eternals, which if we go to all audience, it is tied with Eternals right now, and the critic scores were still far worse for Eternals, but it's pretty funny to see the audience scores be right around for verified, and the all audience, they are the same right now, so only time will tell. I bet the Thor user scores will stay right around this number. I really don't think it's going to get much higher. I don't think it's going to drastically drop at all, but I did want to read just a few of the reviews for you guys. The first review that we see is a 4-star. It says, yes, maybe this film is not perfect. Yes, maybe this film could have been more introspective, but besides that, it's a film full of heart. It's notorious how Taika Waititi is having fun and loves making this Thor film. The cast is amazing. They put a lot of time and effort into it. This movie is love. This movie is thunder. I disagree. I just think that a lot of it had problems. I mean, they do bring up Russell Crowe's performance. While I like him as an actor, I was not a fan of the way that they portrayed Zeus. I really wasn't. I thought they could have done a lot better. It's the experience we got, though. I'm glad I didn't pay to see it. 2 stars, cheesy and terrible ending. A 3-star, the movie is just okay. It's pretty average for a Marvel standard. Gore tries to save the movie, but the lead characters are not that great. Story is plain and simple and predictable. Some comedy is too much. It spoils the mood of seriousness. Movie is great visually, and in some action sequences, background music is well used. Going to the next page, a 1-star. The humor in the beginning was very cheesy. Thor Ragnarok was humorous but not overdone. Love and Thunder was full of too much humor and not enough real action or character development. I do generally agree with this. The comedy ruined the film. Very cheesy, a little goofy, the story was lame, and the dialogue was not compelling or interesting. Marvel has definitely lost some of its magic. And again, there's some positive ones here, like 3 stars, 4 stars. Not a lot of 5 stars here, though. I will definitely be keeping my eye on the review scores for Thor Love and Thunder and seeing how people enjoy it as the weeks go on, if it continues to make money, if it just kind of dies out in the second week, because that's what's been happening a lot lately with Marvel films. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.